So you're feeling kind of lonely. You're bad at making friends, so you decide that you want to create your own, an identical copy of yourself. Seems like a lot of work when you can just go outside and make some friends, but you're pretty set on reproductive cloning. Cloning is the process of creating a biological entity that is genetically identical to another organism. Reproductive cloning creates copies of whole animals. They are made by removing a somatic cell, which is a cell that is not reproductive, from the donor animal and implanting the DNA from the somatic cell into an oocyte, an egg cell of another organism whose own DNA have been removed. There are two methods for this. The first is by injecting the DNA into the empty cell, and the second is by fusing both the somatic cell with the empty cell via an electric current. It's pretty complicated, but you're very lonely. The problem is, no human has ever successfully been cloned. The first successful mammal cloned from a mature somatic cell of an adult was in 1996 by Scottish researchers who cloned a sheep named Dolly. Humans are more difficult to clone because in primate eggs, the spindle proteins are very close to the chromosomes, which carry the DNA. The spindle proteins are essential to cell division, so when the chromosomes are removed to make room for the donor nucleus, the spindle proteins are also removed, and the cell can no longer divide and multiply. Even if you were to clone yourself successfully, you would need to wait until the clone grew up to befriend it. It starts off as a baby, just like you. Are you still willing to clone yourself? It may not be possible with the technology that we have today. Still curious about the benefits and drawbacks of reproductive cloning? Keep listening. Reproductive cloning could help researchers make copies of animals to benefit human medicine. For example, the Scottish researchers who cloned Dolly cloned other sheep that were modified to produce more milk that contains a human protein essential for blood clotting. The milk could potentially be used to help humans who can't clot their blood properly in the future. Cloned animals also make for better subjects for testing drugs and treatment strategies because all of the subjects would be genetically identical and the reactions would be theoretically the same. Another application of reproductive cloning is to create clones of endangered species to build up their populations. In 2001, researchers cloned the first endangered animal, an Asian ox called a gaur. Although it passed away, it shows the potential for cloning endangered species. However, some experts argue that cloning species that would otherwise die out would create populations of genetically identical organisms without the genetic variability necessary for survival. As for human clones, they could be used for organ donations, providing perfect matches to those in need. People who are infertile could have clones made as children. However, many people believe that these situations are unethical and would violate the clone's rights to an exclusive identity and take away the clone's choice. Remember, human clones are still human beings. So, I'll leave it up to you to decide. Do you think creating a human clone is justified? What about animal clones? You're the one who's lonely. Go outside and make some friends. You'll find it to be a lot easier than you think.